In the year 3467, Earth was a planet transformed. Humanity had clawed its way back from the brink of self-destruction centuries earlier, emerging from the ashes of environmental collapse, resource wars, and the near-total breakdown of global cooperation. What had once been a fractured world of nations and borders was now a unified species, thriving under the banner of the United Terran Alliance. Technology had advanced to unimaginable heights, and humanity had become a space-faring civilization, spreading its reach across the galaxy. Yet, amidst all the progress in interstellar exploration, one thing remained constant: the human spirit's unyielding love for adventure, freedom, and the raw power of nature. Earth itself had become a pristine jewel in the cosmos. After centuries of ecological restoration, its oceans sparkled with clarity unseen since pre-industrial times. Towering waves crashed against unspoiled shores, their thunderous roars echoing across beaches where humanity's greatest pastime had been born: surfing. Surfing was no longer just a sport. It was a cultural phenomenon, an art form, and for many, a spiritual experience. It symbolized humanity's ability to harmonize with nature's chaos, to ride its wildest forces with grace and courage. By this time, humanity had encountered countless alien civilizations. The galaxy was teeming with life, some species ancient and wise, others young and brash like humanity once was. Trade agreements were forged, alliances built, and knowledge shared. Yet for all their technological prowess and cultural sophistication, none of these alien species had ever encountered anything quite like surfing. To them, it was an enigma, a peculiar Terran obsession that combined physical mastery with an almost reckless disregard for danger. The first interstellar visitors to Earth were baffled by what they saw on its shores. They watched as humans paddled into monstrous waves that could crush them in an instant. They observed the way surfers danced atop liquid mountains with nothing but a thin board beneath their feet. And they marveled at the sheer joy on their faces when they emerged from the frothing chaos unscathed, or even when they didn't. At first, aliens dismissed it as another strange human quirk. After all, this was the same species that had once hurled themselves into space strapped to chemical rockets, or leapt from cliffs with nothing but fabric wings to slow their descent. But as more alien dignitaries visited Earth and witnessed surfing firsthand, curiosity began to replace skepticism. What was it about this activity that seemed to encapsulate the very essence of humanity? It wasn't long before humans began teaching their extraterrestrial friends how to surf. At first, it was just for fun, a way to bond across species and share a piece of Earth's culture. But as alien surfers took to the waves with increasing enthusiasm, something extraordinary happened. Surfing began to spread across the galaxy. On oceanic worlds where tides were driven by multiple moons, alien surfers rode waves that dwarfed anything on Earth. On planets with low gravity, surfers floated gracefully over liquid surfaces that shimmered like quicksilver. Even on worlds without oceans, ingenious minds created artificial wave pools powered by advanced technology. Surfing became an intergalactic sensation, a universal language that transcended species and cultures. It wasn't just about riding waves. It was about embracing risk, finding balance in chaos, and celebrating life's unpredictable beauty. And so it was that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't its technology or philosophy, but something far simpler: the art of surfing. But as surfing fever swept across star systems, something inevitable happened: competition. Alien species began hosting local tournaments on their home planets, eager to showcase their skills and prove their mastery of this Terran tradition. The stakes grew higher with each event until finally, an announcement shook the galaxy. The first intergalactic surfing championship would be held in 5 years' time. The championship promised to be a spectacle unlike anything ever seen before. A convergence of species from every corner of the galaxy, riding waves on an uncharted planet chosen for its colossal tides and unpredictable storms. For humanity, this was more than just a competition. It was a chance to prove that no matter how far they had come or how much they had shared with others, there were some things only humans could truly master. And so preparations began on Earth. The greatest surfers from every continent trained tirelessly in secret wave pools designed to simulate alien oceans. Engineers worked alongside marine biologists to develop boards capable of withstanding extraterrestrial conditions. And somewhere deep within every human heart burned an unspoken truth. This championship wasn't just about surfing. It was about reminding the galaxy why humans were still here after all these millennia. Because if there was one thing humanity knew better than anyone else in the cosmos, it was how to ride the wave of destiny itself. The announcement of the Intergalactic Surfing Championship sent ripples, not just across Earth, but through the entire galaxy. For humanity, it was a moment of pride, a chance to showcase their heritage and prove that even in a universe teeming with advanced civilizations, there was something uniquely human about taming the chaos of a wave. But for the alien species that had embraced surfing as their own, it was an opportunity to challenge the masters on their own turf, or rather, on the cosmic stage. The host planet for the championship was chosen after much deliberation, a distant world named Pelagia 9. Located in a binary star system, Pelagia 9 was a water-dominated planet with oceans so vast they made Earth's Pacific look like a backyard pond. Its waves were legendary, driven by the gravitational pull of its 3 moons and the ferocious winds that swept across its endless seas. To surf on Pelagia 9 was to face nature at its most untamed. It was said that its largest waves could reach heights of over 300 feet, breaking with such force they could shatter rock formations along the coastlines. For many, it was the ultimate proving ground. As the championship drew closer, Earth became a hub of preparation and training. The United Terran Alliance spared no expense in assembling what became known as the Terran Titans, a team of elite surfers representing humanity's best and brightest. Among them were legends like Kayab Stormrider Nakamura, whose fearless rides on Earth's megawaves had earned her worldwide fame, Malik the Maverick Jones, known for his innovative aerial maneuvers, and Elena Torres, a former marine biologist turned wave-riding prodigy who had spent years studying alien ocean dynamics. The Titans weren't just training for bigger waves. They were preparing for entirely alien conditions. Simulated environments recreated the crushing gravity of high-mass planets, the bizarre fluid dynamics of methane seas, and even the disorienting double sunlight glare of binary systems. Engineers worked tirelessly to develop surfboards capable of adapting to these challenges. Some boards were equipped with nanotech that adjusted buoyancy on the fly. Others had energy shields to protect against hostile marine life or rogue debris in alien waters. But while humanity prepared with its characteristic determination, whispers from across the galaxy suggested that their competitors were equally formidable. The amphibious Erathians from Orcs Prime were said to be natural-born surfers, their webbed limbs giving them unparalleled control over their movements in water. The towering Clitians from Gravix had adapted to surfing under extreme gravity, their dense musculature allowing them to carve through waves with brutal precision. Even the enigmatic Aetheri, a species of translucent, jellyfish-like beings, had reportedly developed a mesmerizing style of surfing that defied human understanding. And yet, amidst all this interstellar buzz, humanity remained undeterred. They knew that surfing wasn't just about physical skill or technological innovation. It was about heart, intuition, and an unshakable connection to the ocean's rhythms. It was about embracing fear and turning it into exhilaration. It was about falling and rising again, no matter how many times the waves tried to crush you. As the day of departure approached, Earth's beaches became pilgrimage sites for those seeking to witness history in the making. Crowds gathered to watch the Terran Titans train on artificially generated megawaves that rivaled those of Pelagia 9. Children cheered as Kaya Nakamura executed flawless barrel rides. Elders nodded in approval as Malik Jones launched himself into gravity-defying spins, and scientists marveled at Elena Torres's ability to read wave patterns with uncanny precision. But it wasn't just about the Titans. Across Earth's coasts, ordinary people took to their boards in solidarity. Surfers young and old paddling out into the surf as if to remind themselves and each other what it meant to be human. They knew they wouldn't be riding those alien waves themselves, but in their hearts, they felt connected to something greater, a legacy that stretched back thousands of years to when ancient Polynesians first carved wooden boards and rode Earth's waves under starlit skies. Finally, the day came when the Terran Titans boarded their sleek interstellar transport ship, a vessel designed not only for speed, but also equipped with state-of-the-art wave simulation chambers for last-minute training during the journey. As they ascended into orbit, leaving behind Earth's blue horizon, billions watched from every corner of the planet. For humanity, this wasn't just about winning. It was about showing the galaxy who they were, a species born from chaos yet capable of finding harmony within it. As Pelagia 9 loomed closer on their navigation screens, a swirling blue marble surrounded by rings of ice and rock, the Titans felt a mix of awe and anticipation. This was it, the ultimate test not just of skill but of spirit. They knew they would face waves unlike any they had ever seen before, and competitors who had evolved under conditions no human could fully comprehend. But they also knew one thing with absolute certainty. No matter how alien those waves might be, or how fierce their rivals were, humanity had been riding chaos since time immemorial. And they weren't about to stop now. The Titans' arrival at Pelagia 9 was nothing short of a galactic spectacle. Their ship descended through the planet's turbulent atmosphere, its hull shimmering against the twin suns that bathed the endless oceans below in a golden glow. The landing zone, a massive floating city constructed specifically for the championship, was a marvel of alien engineering. Suspended on anti-gravity pylons and anchored to the ocean floor by energy tethers, it bobbed gently on the surface of the waves, a beacon of unity amidst the roaring seas. Delegations from every corner of the galaxy had already arrived. The floating city was alive with activity. Towering clitions lumbered through the crowds, their heavy footfalls causing vibrations in the metallic walkways. The translucent ethery drifted gracefully above the ground, their bioluminescent bodies glowing faintly in the twilight. And the Zorathians, ever at home in water, leapt effortlessly between platforms, their webbed hands and feet propelling them with fluid grace. The Titans stepped off their ship to a mixture of cheers and curious murmurs. Humanity's reputation preceded them. Some viewed them as underdogs, others as arrogant newcomers who dared to claim mastery over a sport that had grown far beyond Earth. But the Titans walked with quiet confidence, their eyes scanning the alien faces around them. They weren't here to talk. They were here to ride. The opening ceremony was held at sunset, with representatives from each species gathered on an enormous platform overlooking Pelagia 9's endless horizon. The waves below were restless, heaving and crashing like living things eager to test their challengers. A towering holographic figure, an artificially constructed arbiter known as the Tidekeeper, appeared above the crowd, its voice booming across the city. "Welcome," it intoned in a voice that seemed to resonate directly within each listener's mind, "to the first intergalactic surfing championship. Here, on Pelagia 9, we gather not as rivals, but as seekers of greatness. The waves of this world are untamed, unpredictable, and unforgiving. They will test your skill, your courage, and your spirit." The Tidekeeper paused as if letting its words sink in before continuing. "Each species has brought forth its champions, those who dare to ride where others fear to tread. Over the next solar cycle, you will compete across 3 stages: the rising swell, the abyssal breaker, and the maelstrom's crown. Each stage will grow more perilous than the last. Only one team will emerge victorious." A hush fell over the crowd as holographic projections of previous Pelagian waves played out above them, towering walls of water that seemed almost sentient in their ferocity. Even seasoned surfers felt a flicker of doubt as they watched monstrous tubes collapse with thunderous force or saw footage of rogue waves swallowing entire islands. But for humanity, doubt was just another wave to ride. The first stage, the rising swell, was set to begin at dawn. It would take place near Pelagia 9's equatorial belt, where waves reached heights of 50 feet on average, but moved with deceptive speed due to the planet's unique gravitational pull. For many species, it would be a warm-up. For others, it would be an elimination round. That night, the Terran Titans gathered in their quarters aboard the floating city. The room was filled with holographic projections of wave data and environmental simulations provided by Elena Torres, whose scientific expertise had earned her unofficial status as team strategist. "These waves are faster than anything we've faced on Earth," she explained, her voice calm but firm. "The gravity here is lower than what we're used to, which means less drag, But it also means less control if we wipe out. Kaya Nakamura leaned back against a wall, arms crossed. Control's overrated, she said with a smirk. We didn't come here to play it safe. Malik Jones chuckled from where he was tinkering with his board. A sleek black design equipped with retractable stabilizers and an energy core that glowed faintly beneath its surface. She's right, he said. If we're going to win this thing, we've got to go all in. Elena sighed but couldn't help smiling. She knew they were right. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its willingness to push boundaries, to embrace chaos rather than run from it. As dawn broke over Pelagia IX's churning seas, the rising swell began in earnest. Teams from across the galaxy paddled out into waters that seemed alive with energy. The Zarathians took an early lead, their amphibious physiology allowing them to maneuver effortlessly through the chaotic surf. The Clitians followed close behind, their sheer strength enabling them to power through even the most turbulent sections of water. But when it was humanity's turn to ride, everything changed. Kaya Nakamura was first up as she paddled into position atop her board. A custom design built for speed and agility, she felt the familiar rush of adrenaline coursing through her veins. The wave rose behind her like a liquid mountain, its crest shimmering in hues of blue and green under Pelagia IX's twin suns. And then she dropped in. The crowd watching from above fell silent as Kaya carved her way down the face of the wave with surgical precision. She moved like water itself, fluid yet unyielding, her board slicing through foam and spray as if guided by instinct alone. When she reached the bottom of the wave and shot back up into its barrel, even some of her alien competitors couldn't help but cheer. By day's end, humanity had secured its place among the top contenders for the rising swell stage. But there was no time for celebration yet. Ahead lay greater challenges, waves taller than skyscrapers, and competitors who had yet to reveal their full potential. As night fell once more over Pelagia IX's restless seas, the Terran Titans stood together on a balcony overlooking the horizon where tomorrow's battles awaited them. This is just the beginning, Kaya said quietly. And deep within every human heart burned an unspoken truth. No matter how alien those waves might be, they were ready to ride them all. The second stage of the championship, the Abyssal Breaker, was where the real test began. The location was a remote region of Pelagia IX known as the Abyssal Rift, a trench so deep that its waters churned with ancient, primordial energy. Here, the waves didn't just rise, they erupted. Massive swells surged from the depths like leviathans, their faces dark and glassy, their peaks crowned with foam that hissed like steam. The waves were unpredictable, forming and collapsing with a ferocity that defied logic. It was said that even the Zarathians, masters of aquatic environments, approached this region with caution. For humanity, caution wasn't an option. The Terran Titans knew they had to push harder than ever if they wanted to stay in contention. As they arrived at the staging platform overlooking the Abyssal Rift, they could feel the tension in the air. Alien teams whispered among themselves, sizing up their competitors. The Clitians stood stoic and silent, their massive frames casting long shadows in the pale light of Pelagia IX's twin suns. The Aetheri floated nearby, their translucent forms pulsing faintly as if in anticipation. The Tidekeeper's voice boomed once again, announcing the rules for this stage. The Abyssal Breaker will challenge not only your skill but your endurance. Waves here are born from the planet's tectonic activity and carry with them the force of worlds colliding. You will ride not for distance or style, but for survival. Points will be awarded for each successful ride. Longer rides earn greater rewards, but beware, wipeouts here may cost more than just points. The warning wasn't an exaggeration. Beneath the surface of the Abyssal Rift lurked dangers far beyond Earth's sharks or rip currents. Alien predators prowled these waters. Massive eel-like creatures with bioluminescent lures and jaws lined with needle-sharp teeth. And then there were the rogue waves. Freak surges that could rise without warning and swallow even the most seasoned surfers whole. As the first competitors paddled out into the roiling sea, it became clear just how brutal this stage would be. The Zarathians performed admirably, their amphibious bodies allowing them to dive beneath oncoming swells and emerge unscathed on the other side. The Clitians relied on brute strength, muscling their way through walls of water that would have crushed lesser beings. Even the Aetheri displayed an eerie grace, their jellyfish-like forms glowing faintly as they glided along wave faces with an almost supernatural ease. When it was humanity's turn, all eyes were on Kaya Nakamura once again. She paddled out alone at first, her board cutting through the chop like a blade through silk. The wave she chose was monstrous, a towering wall of water that seemed to rise endlessly into the sky before curling into a thunderous barrel. Kaya dropped in with precision, her body low and balanced as she navigated the wave's treacherous face. Spray lashed against her skin as she carved sharp turns up and down its surface, her movements fluid yet deliberate. When she reached the barrel's mouth and disappeared into its hollow core, there was a collective gasp from those watching above. Seconds stretched into eternity as Kaya remained hidden within the wave's roaring embrace. Then, just as it seemed she might have been swallowed whole, she emerged, shooting out of the barrel like a comet streaking across a dark sky. The crowd erupted in cheers, human and alien alike, as Kaya raised one fist triumphantly before kicking out of her ride. Malik Jones followed next, his approach radically different, but no less effective. Where Kaya relied on precision and flow, Malik brought flair and audacity to his ride. He launched himself into aerial maneuvers that defied gravity, spinning and flipping his board in ways that left even seasoned competitors stunned. At one point, he landed back on his board after a mid-air rotation, so complex it seemed more like something out of an orbital dogfight than a surfing competition. Elena Torres took a more analytical approach to her ride, studying every ripple and shift in the water's surface before committing to her wave. Her scientific background shone through as she anticipated each swell's movements with uncanny accuracy, adjusting her position to maximize speed and stability. By day's end, humanity had not only survived the abyssal breaker, but thrived within it. Their combined performance placed them near the top of the leaderboard, just behind the Zarathians, but ahead of both the Clitians and Aetheri. But victory came at a cost. During one of Malik's later rides, he encountered what locals called a shadow surge, a rogue wave that rose without warning from beneath another swell. It struck with such force that Malik was thrown from his board and dragged beneath the surface. For agonizing moments, he struggled against currents that felt like iron chains pulling him deeper into darkness. It was Elena who saved him, diving from her own board without hesitation and using a small propulsion device built into her wetsuit to reach him before it was too late. Together they resurfaced, gasping for air as rescue drones swooped in to pull them back to safety. That night in their quarters, Malik sat quietly as Elena patched up a gash on his arm, a souvenir from some unseen predator lurking in the depths. "You didn't have to do that," he muttered. Elena smirked as she tightened a bandage around his arm. "You're part of this team," she said simply. "And besides, we're not done yet." She was right. The final stage loomed ahead, the Maelstrom's crown, where waves weren't just massive. They were alive with storms so fierce they could tear apart entire fleets. As they rested that night under Pelagia IX's twin moons, the Terran Titans knew they had proven themselves worthy contenders, but also knew that their greatest challenge still awaited them. And somewhere deep within those restless seas, destiny waited too. The day of the Maelstrom's crown arrived with an ominous beauty. The skies above Pelagia IX churned with dark, swirling clouds, pierced occasionally by jagged streaks of lightning that illuminated the endless ocean below. This was no ordinary storm. It was a planetary phenomenon, a convergence of Pelagia IX's three moons that created tidal forces so extreme they birthed waves the size of mountains. The air itself seemed charged with energy, crackling faintly as if the planet were alive and watching. The final stage would take place in the heart of this chaos, where the waves were born from the collision of opposing currents and winds so fierce they could strip paint from a ship's hull. This was the Maelstrom's crown, a place of legend even among Pelagia IX's inhabitants. No one had ever ridden its waves for long. Most who tried never returned. It was said that the ocean here had a will of its own, testing those who dare to challenge it. The Tidekeeper's booming voice echoed across the floating city as the competitors gathered on the launch platform. "You have reached the final stage, it announced, its tone carrying both reverence and warning. Here, you will face waves unlike any you have encountered before. They are not merely obstacles. They are forces of nature, unpredictable and relentless. Victory will go to those who ride with courage, skill, and endurance. But beware, the maelstrom shows no mercy. The leaderboard was tight. The Zarathians held a narrow lead after their dominance in the abyssal breaker, their amphibious physiology giving them an edge in the treacherous waters. Humanity followed closely in second place, their daring performances and teamwork earning them respect even from skeptics. The Clitians and Aetheri trailed behind, but were still dangerous contenders. Each species had its own strengths that could shine in these final moments. As the Terran Titans prepared for their turn, there was an unspoken tension among them. They had come so far, defying expectations at every stage, but now they faced the ultimate test. The waves here weren't just massive. They moved with an almost sentient unpredictability, shifting direction mid-crest or collapsing into spiraling vortexes without warning. Kaya Nakamura stood at the edge of the platform, staring out at the roiling sea. Her board, a sleek design reinforced with adaptive nanomaterials, rested under her arm. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of not just her team's hopes, but humanity's pride on her shoulders. "This is it," she said softly, more to herself than anyone else. Malik Jones clapped her on the back, his usual grin tempered by determination. "We've been riding chaos our whole lives," he said. This is just another wave." Elena Torres adjusted her wetsuit and checked her board's telemetry one last time before nodding to both of them. "Let's show them what humans are made of." The Titans launched into the maelstrom's crown together, paddling out against winds that howled like banshees and waves that rose like liquid mountains before crashing down with deafening roars. The water beneath them felt alive, shifting and bucking unpredictably, as if trying to throw them off before they even reached their first wave. Kaya was the first to catch one. It was a towering behemoth of a wave, its crest curling high above her like a collapsing skyscraper. She dropped in with precision, her body low and balanced as she carved sharp turns along its face. Spray lashed against her skin as she navigated through sections of the wave that seemed intent on swallowing her whole. But Kaya didn't just ride the wave, she commanded it. With every turn and maneuver, she seemed to anticipate its movements before they happened, staying one step ahead of its fury. When she finally kicked out at the end of her ride, even some of the alien spectators erupted into cheers. Malik followed next, his approach as bold as ever. He caught a wave that seemed impossible, a double-crested monster that split into two barrels halfway through its formation. Where others might have hesitated or wiped out entirely, Malik launched himself into an aerial maneuver so audacious it left even his teammates speechless. He soared high above the wave's crest, spinning his board in a dizzying corkscrew before landing cleanly back on its face and continuing his ride without missing a beat. By the time he finished, even some of the Clitians, normally stoic and reserved, nodded in grudging respect. Elena Torres brought strategy and precision to her rides, studying each wave carefully before committing to it. On one particularly treacherous swell, a spiraling vortex that threatened to collapse inward at any moment, she used her knowledge of fluid dynamics to position herself perfectly within its barrel, riding out what should have been an impossible section with calm determination. As each Titan completed their runs, humanity climbed higher on the leaderboard, but so did their rivals. The Zarathians continued to dominate with their effortless grace in water. Their webbed limbs allowed them to perform maneuvers no human could replicate. The Aetheri dazzled with their ethereal style, gliding through waves as if they were part of the ocean itself. But it was during one of the Clitians' rides that disaster struck. A rogue wave, larger than anything seen so far, rose suddenly from the depths without warning. It towered over everyone on the platform like a living wall of water, its crest glowing faintly with bioluminescent plankton disturbed by its sheer force. The Clitian surfer caught it instinctively, but quickly lost control as the wave shifted unpredictably beneath him. He was thrown violently into its churning depths, and for a moment, there was silence as everyone held their breath. Then Kaya Nakamura moved. Without hesitation or regard for her own safety, she dove off her board and into the water after him. Her teammates shouted in alarm, but Kaya didn't hesitate for even a second. She swam against currents that felt like iron chains pulling her back until she reached him, a massive figure struggling against forces even his immense strength couldn't overcome. Together they surfaced just as rescue drones arrived to pull them back onto the platform. But not before Kaya had secured humanity something far greater than points: respect. As night fell over Pelagia 9 once more, the Terran Titans stood atop the Maelstrom's crown leaderboard by a razor-thin margin. But they knew tomorrow would bring something even greater: the final wave. The final wave of the Maelstrom's crown loomed like a mythic beast, a culmination of all the planet's fury and beauty. It was as if Pelagia 9 itself had saved its most formidable challenge for last, a single, colossal wave that dwarfed everything that had come before. It rose from the depths with an ominous grace, its face a shimmering wall of water that seemed to stretch endlessly into the sky. The Tidekeeper's voice resonated across the floating city one last time. This is your moment. The final wave will determine the champion. Ride it well, for it carries with it the weight of worlds. The air was thick with anticipation as the remaining competitors prepared for their ultimate test. The Zorathians, still leading by a narrow margin, exuded confidence, their amphibious forms perfectly suited for the aquatic environment. The Clitians, despite their earlier setback, stood ready with renewed determination. The Aetheri hovered nearby, their translucent bodies glowing softly in the dim light. But all eyes were on the Terran Titans. Humanity had proven itself time and again throughout the championship, but this was different. This was a wave that demanded not just skill but something deeper, a connection to chaos and courage that only humans seemed to possess. Kaya Nakamura, Malik Jones, and Elena Torres paddled out together, their boards cutting through the choppy water with purpose. They knew this was it, the culmination of everything they had trained for, every risk they had taken. As they reached the lineup, Kaya turned to her teammates. "We've got this," she said, her voice steady despite the storm raging around them. Malik grinned back at her. "Let's show them what humans are made of." Elena nodded, her eyes scanning the approaching wave with analytical precision. "Ride smart," she advised, "but ride hard." The wave approached with a roar that seemed to echo through the very core of Pelagia 9. It was a monstrous thing, its crest curling high above them like a living monument to nature's power. Kaya was the first to drop in. She paddled furiously to catch the wave's steep face before rising to her feet in one fluid motion. The moment she did, it was as if time slowed down, every movement deliberate and precise as she carved her way down the towering wall of water. Her board danced across its surface with an elegance that belied the chaos around her. She rode deep into its barrel, disappearing from view for heart-stopping seconds before emerging triumphantly on the other side, a testament to human tenacity and grace under pressure. Malik followed close behind, his approach bold and daring as ever. He launched himself into an aerial maneuver so audacious it seemed more like flight than surfing, spinning and flipping through the air before landing cleanly back on his board. Elena brought strategy and insight to her ride, reading every shift in water and wind with uncanny accuracy as she navigated through sections of the wave that should have been impossible. As each Titan completed their ride, it became clear: humanity wasn't just surviving this final challenge, they were mastering it. When all was said and done, when every competitor had faced the Maelstrom's crown, there was no doubt who had emerged victorious. The Terran Titans stood atop the leaderboard, not just because they had ridden well, but because they had ridden with heart. The Tidekeeper's voice rang out one last time across Pelagia 9's stormy seas. The first intergalactic surfing championship has concluded. Humanity has shown us all what it means to ride not just waves but destiny itself. Cheers erupted from every corner of the floating city, human and alien alike, as the Terran Titans were crowned champions of the Maelstrom's crown. For humanity, this victory was more than just a win. It was a reminder that even in a galaxy filled with advanced civilizations and extraordinary beings, there was something uniquely powerful about riding chaos and embracing it fully. As they celebrated under Pelagia 9's twin moons, Kaya Nakamura looked out over the endless ocean, a reminder of both how far humanity had come and how much further they could go. Because if there was one thing humans knew better than anyone else in the cosmos, it was how to ride any wave life threw at them and emerge stronger on the other side.